and welcome. I'm Phoebe Wells with ClearanceJobs.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. So, today we're speaking with Ryan Carpenter and Nandita Balakrishnan, Special Advisor and Director of Intelligence at the Special Competitive Studies Project. SCSP is a nonpartisan, nonprofit project whose mission is to make recommendations to strengthen the nation's long term competitiveness as AI and other emerging tech reshape our security, our economy, and our society. So, today, Ryan and Nandita will discuss how the project is ensuring that the U.S. is positioned and organized to win this techno economic competition between now and 2030, which is the key window that has been identified for shaping the future. So, Ryan, Nandita, thank you so much for joining the podcast today. And I definitely want to dig into SCSP's big expo coming up this summer that I'm super excited to attend, and the AI and National Security Coursera course. But first, we have to start. Tell me your backgrounds. I want to hear all about your previous experiences and what led you to this special project. So, Ryan, we'll start with you, and then Nandita, you'll go.
Sure. Thanks, Phoebe, and thanks for having us. I'm a big fan of ClearanceJobs, and I'm not just saying that because you paid me, but I'm just saying it because I actually mean it. So my career has been what you might call nonlinear. My undergraduate degree is actually in youth ministry. I was a youth pastor for 4 years in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. From there, I got my master's in applied history and went to work for the Office of Secretary of Defense Historical Office at the Pentagon. From there, I went to the National Security Council. And then from there, I went to the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence. From there, I went to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, and now here at SCSP. So I would have a very long and winding road, but I don't regret any of it. And during that time, I actually got my PhD in history from Catholic University, and had 3 sons in the process too. So there's a lot of life happening in the past 11 years. But I'm so happy to be here at SCSP.
Oh, I love that. Really bringing in that humanity into national security and these emerging techs. I think what an important background to have for this conversation. So, thank you for that. And then Nandita, what about you?
Well, one of the reasons Ryan and I work so well together is we have some interesting overlap. Obviously, not all completely, because there's some really cool stuff in Ryan's background. But I'm also a former academic myself, a political scientist by training. Got my PhD at Stanford in political science, where I was looking at civil-military relations. Really, really loved research, really loved the work, and was really driven to really making sure that I was working towards a great mission, which is why I then joined the intelligence community myself as a political analyst for a number of years, working on domestic politics in South Asia. And then I came to SCSP via a brief consulting stint. And one of the reasons I came to SCSP was it really just brought together all the experiences that I had had. Particularly, the cool part about working here is that you get to work directly with the intelligence community, as I've always been really, really passionate about. But I think take a little bit more of a critical lens on what does the next generation of leaders in the IC going to look like and how we can better equip them, which is like really what brought me to not only work on the intelligence panel, but with Ryan on workforce innovation issues as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think, I love that these conversations are happening about, the next generation because obviously, this point that we're at in history is I'm not the historian in this conversation, like Ryan is, but I do know that I it's evident that we're at a critical point in history. So I'm grateful that you all are seeing that and understanding that and doing what you can to then prepare this next generation. So which really does kind of lead into my next question about, what inspired the creation of the AI Plus Expo, and that's coming up in June, beginning of June. And how has that evolved since the inception of it? So how did it come to be?
So this was the brainchild of the then executive director and now CEO, the executive director of the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence, and now CEO of SCSP, Ili Bajraktari. This dates back to a while because one of the key findings of the National Security Commission on AI was that we're not organized for competition in the 21st century, and that as a nation, There's just some institutions and some things that we need to add and actually emphasize as a country in such a way that allows us to compete as technology continues to impact our national security, our economy, and our society. So early on at SCSP, we wrote some things like mid-decade challenges for national competitiveness, but it felt like there needed to be another step here and actually convene and have this conversation in Washington, particularly because Washington is the epicenter of all these conversations, and it also helps spur government to think about these important issues. When it's in your backyard, it's easier to remember and think about these issues, and you can't open the newspaper without looking at these issues right in front of you. So it's evolved from early days of it to now we call it the AI Plus Expo because AI is an enabling technology. It's going to influence many sectors of our economy, different technologies, including biotech. We have an AI Plus Biotech Summit on Thursday. We had an AI Plus Energy Summit, AI Plus Robotics, AI Plus Compute. There are many ways that technology is going to influence who we are and what we do. And we want to make sure that what I call the golden triangle of innovation, government, industry, academe, is having the right conversations at the right time. And now is that right time to make sure that America can compete in the 21st century.
And I'll just add to that, which is, as Ryan kind of highlighted, definitely when you're thinking about AI, there's a nexus with academia, public sector, and private sector. But what makes the AI Plus Expo, I think, our flagship event is that it is has something for everyone. It is designed to be open to the public, and there are opportunities to see various exhibitors, to attend essentially a conference on the sidelines of that, whether you're interested in fusion, biotechnology, robotics, as Ryan said, even defense issues. There's something there for everyone, and it's open to everyone. And the idea here is that what the next generation is going to look like means everyone needs to be at least AI literate in some way. And this expo, I think, makes it really, really tangible in the House of the People in the States.
Again, very important. And I love that, this AI Plus Expo is the culmination of all these targeted, pathways that you're getting people to understand AI and how it's going to impact their specific industry, like you said, with AI plus health, AI plus tech, AI plus aerospace. I mean, it's going to touch every point of our lives. And so having one central place that's accessible to everyone in the capital of our country is so necessary right now. And thank you for sharing that, because that answers a lot of questions. So then for our next one, then we've talked about national competitiveness. So how then do you exactly define our country's ability to be competitive in the age of AI? And then how is this expo helping to shape that conversation?
So I'll give you the academic answer, then I'll give you the answer that's more colloquial. So national competitiveness is the overall capability of our nation to harness and coordinate resources, whether it's economic or military or technological, so it can thrive in ordinary times and crises. I see it as have open conversations. Our ability to compete is actually to have these conversations about important issues and be candid with each other. And that can only happen in a real setting where you're seeing people and talking to people. And I think that's the edge that we provide. That's the differentiator, particularly in the place that we're in. And so the expo is this unique place where you can go from one conversation about fusion, because fusion energy could play a key role in actually our ability to innovate, given the amount of energy that AI requires and will require. You can then go to a stage about critical earth minerals. Then you can go to a stage to talk about military innovation. And then you can go to the stage to talk about diplomatic innovation, what the State Department's doing. So the variety of conversation and then the actual harnessing and making it organized in such a way that allows those conversations is really critical, and I think sets us apart.
And I think the really cool thing about all of this, and this comes back from both Ryan and I are not technologists by training, as you can probably tell from our bios, but we've kind of accidentally found ourselves working in this space. But the idea is, adaptability is key. And this expo, I think, offers people who are both not completely trained at all in technology versus and those all the way on the other side of the spectrum who are technologists an access point to really important conversations, whether that's illuminating the actual technological factors that non-technical folks need to understand or the more policy and practical implications that the technologists need to understand. I think there's a lot of unpacking and opportunity for a wide range of people, which again requires careful consideration about who an audience we need to be targeting when we're having these conversations are. And I think that's one thing that SCSP takes incredibly seriously when we're curating the expo.
Again, I love that because I'm having so many conversations lately with people in government, in industry, and in academia about the need to upskill and reskill for this new era. No matter if you're creative like myself or if you're more technically focused like I'm sure many of the people listening to this conversation right now, it doesn't matter what your background is, you're going to need to adapt and learn. And so again, if anyone listening to this right now is in any of those three buckets of government, industry, or academia, you should really consider booking yourself a trip out to DC if you're not already local for this because again, it kind of leads into my next question is, everyone talks about collaboration. Everyone talks about, the private public sector partnerships and, getting academia in. But, for this specific expo, it is a practicing what you preach of, you are all about collaboration. You are, discussing, how you're curating your audience. And again, hopefully people listening to this are students who, receive this in our Clearance 101 newsletter. And, this could be the crucial piece you need for your next career journey, your next journey after college. So I guess then I don't know what my question is supposed to be there, but I guess like where are we seeing the most momentum? Are you seeing industry? Are you seeing specific government agencies who are like all in yes to this conversation? I'll leave that open. If you can
So I
answer, I don't
think
know. Was that a question?
yeah, I think there's a couple of combinations. So obviously, let's take apart like just the audience, and then I can go into sort of the government landscape a little bit in more detail. So just the general audience, what we've kind of found, especially last year, and Ryan is the brainchild, like his brainchild is the AI Plus career stage at Expo, and I want him to talk about that a little bit more. But just to highlight what that is a stage to really talk about what does the future of work look like as AI has become an important phenomenon that is influencing, I think, every career path now. And for a lot of people, there's, I think, been a big realization just in the last year alone that this is not a buzzword anymore, and that this is like meaningfully impacting the way you're going to be effective in your job in this day. So what we have kind of found is there's like really two big buckets of people. First, there are the new students who are trying to figure out like what's next for them. They've gotten this training, whether they came from a STEM background or a more creative background. Because I think AI has become more integrated into education even earlier now, and we hope it will continue to do so. But there's the students who are really asking the question, what's next for them? And we are trying to open opportunities for them on that front. The second group, I think, are more your mid-career professionals who have existed and worked and come up in the world in a place where this technology has really been bifurcated, where there are those who are technologists and those who are not. And now that world, this does not exist anymore. Like you have to leverage technology to do your job now, and are also asking themselves what's next. And like you said, Phoebe, like how do I upskill? How do I reskill? How do I become even better and more effective in my job? So that's like, I think, the general public audience that we're looking at. Within the government agencies, I think what we have seen is there's a lot of understanding that this is going to change the way that national competitiveness is. And when we mean by national competitiveness, you can think of national security, the traditional scope we've always considered national security, to now be expanded to include questions about techno-economic competition, because they're deeply integrated now. There are just fundamental economic components of national security now, which is why we very much phrase this in the lens of national competitiveness. So all government agencies understand at some level that they need to be harnessing this technology. The problem that we've kind of seen is that Obviously, I think the non-national security apparatuses have an advantage of moving faster. We've seen the national security apparatus, again, understanding they need to leverage this technology, but there's a lot of decision paralysis about where to start because you're inherently comparing it against security and privacy risks at the same time. So how do you integrate this technology in a way that is moving you quickly, moving you effectively, but is not paying the cost of security? And because of that, we have seen this like effect where they're not moving as quickly as they would like to, and it's often become very, very siloed. So if you look at AI playbooks, they're department focused, not, you know, wide government, federal government, or state level government focused. And what we really are pushing people is to, you need to think bigger, you need to think integrated, and you need to think collaborative.
Yeah, no, I think that answered my meandering question that I that I asked very well. Especially you kind of segmented your audience into those two buckets. And again, I think while yes, it's segmented, that those buckets are pretty large. There's a lot of obviously students, but I mean, it's all mid-career professionals who know, people my age, we've grown up alongside this technology. But I think clearly, at least I've seen, I'm now running into um the boomer problem of like encountering a new technology and being like, "Oh, this is taking me a little bit longer to learn. My brain is not as malleable as it once was when I was learning Facebook and, coding on MySpace, it's a little different." So out of those two buckets, what do you then hope that, the students who are either, still in college, have a couple of years until graduation, or about to graduate, what do you hope they get from this? And then what do you hope these mid-career level professionals like myself hope to get from it? What do you expect them to take away?
So this is where I am most excited about the expo, and that's why we're partnering with ClearanceJobs, because I think this is going to be a really exciting event for a wide range of people. So first, there is the AI Plus Career Stage, where it's going to be 20-minute job talks about different opportunities offered a range of different industry, government, academe. It could be, I have university presidents talking about why you should come to their city, why you should come to this university. These are the skills you need to have, want to have. These are the partnerships we're making with government and industry. We have what we're calling our talent marketplace, which is essentially our job fair, which ClearanceJobs is going to help us run, which is fantastic, which is very exciting. Can't wait to see that squirrel. Cannot wait for that squirrel.
Oh, we will have t-shirts.
I love the swag. My
I
sons
want
love
one.
the swag.
Oh, you will. Don't worry. Stop by. Come by me at the booth. I'll hook you up.
Well, but that to me, but the town marketplace is for jobs. That people are going to be who come to the expo are being exposed to different jobs that are out there in different industries. And it's not just tech jobs; it's tech adjacent jobs, it's policy jobs, it's government affairs jobs. It's all these things that are going to be different levels of understanding about technology. And it's not just AI. That's really critical. And then there'd be the booths of different universities, of different industries, partners who are hiring, but also, hey, now maybe you're trying to make that jump to a different field. Maybe you're thinking about leaving federal service and you want to jump into industry, or maybe you are a student thinking about that master's degree. There's gonna be universities that are recruiting for their PhD program too. It's very specific, highly skilled, or just credentials. Could be a credential in cybersecurity or something that's really adjacent to AI writ large, but has a specific skill sets. So it's a very exciting time because it could be the students, but it's also early and mid-career professionals that are just looking to reskill, upskill for that job that they wanted or think they want, or they just want a new start. So it's a very exciting time. And by the way, we're by the front door, the entrance to the convention center, so you can't miss us.
Awesome. Good. And I love how there's actionable next steps for people to take no matter which bucket you fall under. And I think that's real value. So thank you for explaining all of that. Now, before we move on to the Coursera course that you have all put together, can you just run through the details of the AI Plus Expo? When is it? How to sign up? All that jazz.
Sure. So it is on June 2nd through 4th. Opening day is programming is from 10 to 4, but the doors open at 9:30, and then the doors close at 5. And so from those 3 days, June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, it's going to be action packed. You can register on our website, scsp.ai. I would, as the kids say, like and subscribe. Our newsletter, our Substack is just SCSP, and that'll give you all the updates, all you want to know. And also, we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, and all the socials and Insta. So there's plenty of ways to find us and register.
Awesome. Good.
And
Thank you.
absolutely. And I'd just love to add that if
Yeah.
anyone's interested in a hackathon, we're also going to be including a hackathon as part of the Expo this year, which is a new initiative from last year. SCSP has successfully run 2 hackathons alongside AGI House in the last year, and we're taking that to the Expo. So when you register for Expo on our website, you can indicate interest in joining the hackathon as well. And so for those, we'd love to have you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm sure we will get some bites from that. So then switching gears a little bit before we close today, so you have a Coursera course. That's awesome. So can you talk about that and what was the driving force behind that? And, what gaps does it fill in today's AI education landscape?
Absolutely. So this is another huge initiative for SCSP, and we're really proud. We, as of today, which is exactly 4 weeks, April 8th from when we launched, we've had over 1,000 enrollees in the course. So that's absolutely huge for us. So, and kind of taking a step back. So when I was an intelligence analyst, it was very easy to not use any of this technology. So it was really hard sometimes to really understand like why this technology is important, how I can start using it in a meaningful way. So then I came to SCSP, and SCSP has long made recommendations that we need to have an AI literate workforce. And that means a couple of different things. That means, like I said, integrating AI technology much earlier into children's education, K through 12 education. That also means upskilling workforces, particularly the public sector workforce. But it's really easy to make that recommendation, and others have, but SCSP really wanted to take on the challenge and the burden of helping push that initiative forward. So that is what this course is about. It's designed for everyone, anyone. It's a completely free, asynchronous online course that you can enroll in today, either by going to our website, scsp.ai, and hitting Coursera course, or going to Coursera directly to enroll. However, we did have a very specific demographic in mind when we were designing this course, because it's really easy to try to like do a catch-all thing, and we wanted to be really intentional in the way we designed the course. So our target demographic are mid-career national security professionals. And the reason we picked this demographic is we really felt that they were a crucial gap in an AI literate workforce. Because like I said, there are a lot of students coming into the public sector workforce or the larger, US workforce who have gotten at least some training in these skills, either very formally in their high school and college educations, or at least by naturally existing and learning how to use ChatGPT or Gemini on their own. So there's that group that already had some training. Then you have the senior level executives who have some very targeted trainings on how to adopt AI for their organization, either that's designed by their organization directly, or other institutional platforms, including Coursera, have those trainings involved already. Then there's this middle demographic that we really felt was missing, but they're important because they're the ones who don't have trainings targeted towards them, but they're also going to be the next generation of leaders of their organization who are really going to, like I said, see the pathway to 2030 or the pathway to AGI, as we say it, and have to be ready to grasp onto it in order to shape their institution to be prepared for these changes. So what makes this course really unique is a couple of things. Number one, we decided to make it very targeted to having the AI and national security nexus clearly spelled out. So this is not necessarily a fundamentals of AI course. There are a lot of great trainings, like I said, for that. We decided to make this very hyper-focused on AI and national security, and doing so with a couple of key case studies. So why do we need to care about AI and national security? How's the threat landscape changed? What does it mean to be in competition with China? What are examples of AI already adopted in the national security apparatus, whether that's in the intelligence community or in DoD? And how can I practically start leveraging some of these tools in my organization? So we've designed this course to be very, very practical in the way that it's built. So all the exercises are designed to be like, hey, I work in finance at CIA. What are the things I need to know about how to use an LLM to make my job more effective? I work in policy, I work in logistics, I work in operations. What do I need to know? What are the basics I need to know to leverage these tools? We also designed this course in mind to start with the premise that these tools are not adopted at scale at any of these organizations, but we're giving you enough of a good head start to become change agents in your organization. We can get you part of the way there, but you still need to be motivated to get yourself the rest of the way there. This is a starting point. And the last thing that we've really designed this course in mind is that everybody who's taking this course is probably, especially if you're working in a SCIF, for example, you're not going to be able to take this course during the workday. So we wanted to be really mindful in the way we designed the course, that it's short, it's to the point, and can be done in a very quick manner. So generally speaking, we're finding that learners are taking between 3 to 5 hours to finish the course, depending on how many of the exercises you want to complete in order to just broaden your own experience taking the course. But it's designed for really a busy professional to take it within less than a week when they're at home. So that's kind of the impetus of the course. And like I said, we've had over 1,000 people enroll in it. We've gotten some really incredible feedback. And what we are working towards is to continue building out that educational initiative, which I'm definitely happy to talk about.
Yeah, no, I mean, you answered, the next question of who was the course designed for really well. I mean, that was a great explanation and thank you. And again, I know people listening to this fall into that category, so please take advantage of this free course. I mean, come on, there's not many things in life that are free anymore, so take advantage of it.
And
But
if I
yeah,
could
so
just
if you wanted
add
to
one
expand,
thing.
yeah, please expand
Yeah.
whatever you
And
want to add.
yeah, definitely. So what I mean by this course is for everyone. I mean, who else gets to listen to a fireside chat between Eric Schmidt and Andrew Ning talking about AI and national security? That's one thing our course offers. We're really lucky to have Lieutenant General Jack Shanahan talk about Project Maven, who's one of the masterminds behind it. We really want you to hear directly from the experts. And this is also, like I said, juxtaposed with demos, practical examples, and exercises that you really are designed to make you feel comfortable to use these tools. And what's next for us is, obviously this course covered AI and national security, but we've already talked about in the course of this conversation about the trajectory to AGI. So the next part of this is what we have is designed as a free course. You can take the course, but in order to then kind of build on that learning, we're also building out what we're calling the micro credential, which is a 3-part course, which at the end of you will get a AI and AGI national security badge. And basically that just expands on some of the larger implications of AI, and then contextualizing that into the trajectory to AGI, a little bit more on agentic AI. So a lot of the things that we were trying to curate in the public course and keeping it short, this is our opportunity to do deeper dives on some of that as part of a larger learning sequence.
Yeah, no, that's great. So it sounds like, this is just kind of step one into your vision of educating the workforce for this thing that is happening. It's going on right now. And so I guess then, I know we've touched on it, but maybe you can summarize it more succinctly. Why is it important for leaders, whether they're technical or not, to understand AI's role in geopolitics and economic competition? Because you said a couple times through here, like it's on the individual to take this on for themselves and then learn for the greater good of our country and the world in general. So I guess, can you just expand a little bit on that?
Sure. I think so. Let's check the geopolitical example for state. So, like I said, when I said earlier that the traditional scope of national security has changed, that's just true. Today, war can be fought in the digital space. We are just as worried about an economic disaster using AI as we are as a physical attack. So, what as a national security practitioner, you have to think about and be preparing for is just as much about technology as it is about physical attacks. So there's the geopolitical aspect to it. Economic aspect, as we mentioned, AI has changed the future of the workforce. It's changed how manufacturing is done. It's changed how healthcare is going to be done. It's changing how education. So every work stream is now going to be affected by AI, and it's a fundamental underpinning of our geopolitical and economic system. As much as some people would probably love to pretend it doesn't exist or that they can perfectly avoid it, it's going to become increasingly difficult in the next 5 to 10 years to do so, if not now. So at some level, whether or not you're a technologist, and like I said, not everybody's going to be a technologist, you still need to be able to give yourself an understanding of how this technology works and how it is going to affect you. And that is what this course is really designed to do. So one way to like zoom out is we focused on national security because we felt it was a demographic that was missing that nexus of AI and national security. But what you'll do if you take this course is realize it's got applicability to a lot of other sectors, because like I said, we have worksheets for those in finance, policy, operations, logistics. Those jobs exist outside of national security too. So if you want to think and take a zoom out and take a big picture approach, things like this training have applicability no matter who you are. And again, with us thinking about the micro credential, this is going to be for the broader public. While it still is very much focused on national security, that's just to give somebody something tangible to zoom in on and understand, like, how does this all work. But at the end of the day, like, an individual is going to learn how to apply it to their own specific use case, if you will.
I think that's great. I'm really appreciative of this whole conversation, and for our partnership. I am very grateful that Clearance Jobs and AI Plus Expo have linked up for good, I hope, and really am excited to just see where this goes. And hopefully, let's educate the next generation and get your mission out there. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you want to expand on? Please, the floor is yours.
I only ask it, like, the purpose of the expo is to help us build something that will outlast us.
Hmm.
And I think about that in the context of my own sons. And like, this is when you think about the big projects that the United States has taken part of. There's Apollo and there's Manhattan, but there's also the Interstate Highway Act that built roads that we are still using today.
Hmm.
And I like to think of the AI Expo as building a path, building a way for our nation to compete in a way that hasn't been paved just yet, and investing in the future that will outlast all of us. And I think that's the real motivation here. Is it's not just connecting people to meaningful work, meaningful jobs, and educating. It's about building a future that is that my sons will enjoy the same freedoms and opportunities that I did.
I love that, and that's a great analogy. I haven't heard that one before, and that really that resonated. That really, really resonated because AI, it is infrastructure. It's gonna affect everything, just like the I-87 that is right over there where I am right now. So yeah, no, that's a great analogy. Thank you for that. So anything else before we go?
Just to say that the expo is for everyone, so please join us. And we always try to make it as accessible as possible, so even those who can't join in person because they're not in the DC area or can't get here, we always try to make our content available online afterwards. So please join in, so especially as Ryan mentioned, our biotech summit is coming up, and all of that will be available on our YouTube channel afterwards. So if there's ever something that you want to follow up on, please check out our YouTube or our other socials.
All right. Well, thank you. And again, thanks so much for joining me for this discussion today. I, for one, am very excited for AI Plus Expo and hope this conversation sparked something in everyone listening, and that we'll see you there in June. So thank you, Ryan and Nandita. And thank you for all of you for listening today. And if you're interested in more, visit, the link in the description of this podcast or below if you're viewing this on YouTube. And yeah, we will see you next time. And thank you so much.